Shedeur Sanders just sent a message to everyone paying attention, and he did it without saying a single word. After weeks of staying completely silent while the Cleveland media dissected every aspect of his rookie season, while critics on local radio questioned his decision-making, his metrics, and his future with the franchise, he posted one image: himself in the gym, working. No caption explaining what he was doing. No response to the people who have been tearing him down daily. No engagement with the noise that has surrounded his name since the moment he arrived in Cleveland. Just a picture that communicated everything his words could not. While you are talking, I am working. While you are debating whether I belong, I am preparing to prove that I do. And while the noise machine keeps churning out content about everything I supposedly cannot do, I am quietly building the version of myself that will make all of it irrelevant. That is the message. And if you understand how the Sanders family operates, you know it was delivered with absolute intention. The silence over the past few weeks has been impossible to ignore for anyone tracking Shedeur's public presence. This is a player who grew up in the spotlight, who understands the power of narrative and the importance of controlling your own story. And yet, during a period when his name has been at the center of constant debate in Cleveland media, he has said almost nothing. No videos dropped, no interviews given, no appearances at Colorado or any of the public events that typically generate headlines during the off-season. His social media has been nearly dormant, which is a deliberate choice for someone who has the platform and the following to command attention whenever he wants it. The last meaningful post before the gym photo was a retweet from 2 days earlier, a simple motivational quote that read, "Saw no results, still woke up and chased them." That was it. No elaboration. No context beyond the words themselves. Just a sentiment that aligned with where he seems to be mentally during this stretch of his career. The noise exists. The criticism exists. The doubt exists. And he is choosing not to engage with any of it directly. He is letting it sit there, unanswered, while he focuses on the only thing that will actually matter when the season starts. The gym photo landed like a statement that required no translation. Posted approximately 1 hour before the original video that sparked this conversation, it showed Shedeur deep in his training, focused entirely on the work in front of him. There was no caption attached to explain what he was doing or why he was doing it now. There was no subtle dig at the critics who have been questioning his ability on a daily basis. There was just the image itself, raw and unfiltered, of a young quarterback who understands that preparation is the only currency that matters when the lights come on. His supporters interpreted the post immediately as a subliminal message. Power moves coming. He is not here to argue with people who have already made up their minds. He is here to compete. And in an era where athletes constantly feel the need to defend themselves on social media, where every criticism gets met with a response that generates another cycle of controversy and content, Shedeur is choosing a completely different approach. He is letting the silence build anticipation. He is letting the work accumulate without commentary. And when the moment arrives to demonstrate what he has been building in private, there will be no warning. Just results that speak louder than any tweet or interview ever could. The criticism coming from certain corners of the Cleveland media has been relentless throughout this offseason, and no voice has been louder or more consistent than Jason Lloyd. Lloyd, who writes for The Athletic and appears regularly on local Cleveland radio, has positioned himself as one of the primary skeptics of Shedeur Sanders' ability to be a franchise quarterback. His concerns have been specific and repeated across multiple platforms. Shedeur holds onto the ball too long. He throws interceptions on early downs when the offense needs rhythm and momentum. He takes sacks on late downs when the team needs to stay in field goal range or set up manageable fourth down situations. His advanced metrics, according to Lloyd, do not support the idea that he is ready to lead this franchise into the future. And the framing of these criticisms has been absolute, presented not as areas for development, but as fundamental flaws that define who the player is. When challenged on these assessments, Lloyd has referenced anonymous sources inside the Browns organization who allegedly share his concerns about the young quarterback. But when pressed to identify those sources, when asked to put names to the evaluations he is reporting, he has consistently deflected. His response to direct pushback has been to cite his 25 years of covering Cleveland sports, as if professional longevity automatically validates the accuracy of any specific claim. The confrontation that happened on Cleveland radio a few weeks ago exposed the fragility of this critical framework in real time. A caller from Missouri managed to get through and challenged Lloyd directly on his assessment of Shedeur Sanders. The caller did not come with vague emotional reactions or unsubstantiated complaints. He came with specifics. He cited Chase Daniel, the former NFL quarterback who now breaks down film publicly, as someone who has offered positive evaluations of Shedeur's game. He pointed out that when analysts praise Shedeur, they put their names on those assessments and make them publicly verifiable. But when Lloyd and others offer criticism, it comes wrapped in anonymity, protected from scrutiny because no one can confirm where the information originated or whether it accurately reflects organizational thinking. Lloyd's response to this challenge was telling. He did not engage with the substance of what was being said. He did not offer counter-evidence to the analysts who have praised Shedeur. He did not explain why Chase Daniel's evaluation should be dismissed, while his own anonymous sources should be trusted. He simply pointed to his track record, his years of experience, as if that alone should settle the matter. The co-hosts on the show awkwardly joked about invoking the Fifth Amendment, attempting to diffuse the tension without actually addressing the legitimate question that had been raised. The moment revealed exactly what happens when media criticism built on unnamed sources encounters someone willing to push back with specifics. The counterargument to the criticism being leveled at Shedeur Sanders is not complicated, but it requires acknowledging context that critics consistently choose to ignore. He played behind one of the worst offensive lines in college football during his time at Colorado. The Buffalo's pass protection was a liability that affected every single aspect of their passing game, forcing Shedeur into impossible situations on a regular basis. Quarterbacks cannot go through progressions properly when they are being hit before routes develop. They cannot maintain clean mechanics when they are running for their lives immediately after the snap. Every decision gets compressed, every throw becomes more difficult, and the statistical outcomes reflect circumstances more than ability. When Shedeur arrived in Cleveland, the situation did not improve. The Browns had one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL last season, a unit so compromised that it sabotaged every quarterback who played behind it. The team struggled on third down before Shedeur ever took a meaningful snap. They could not score 20 points in the first 5 games of the season, when Joe Flacco and Dylan Gabriel were handling quarterback duties. The systemic problems were organizational, not individual, but the criticism has been directed almost exclusively at Shedeur, as if he were operating in ideal conditions and simply failing to perform. That framing ignores reality in ways that are either deliberately misleading or fundamentally incompetent, and the people pushing it should be required to explain why they are isolating one player while excusing infrastructure failures that affected everyone. The anonymous source problem in Cleveland media coverage has reached a point where it actively undermines the credibility of the reporting itself. When Lloyd and others reference criticism of Shedeur, they frequently attribute it to unnamed people inside the Browns organization, sources who allegedly have concerns about his readiness or his ability to develop into a franchise quarterback. But when they are asked to identify those sources, when they are challenged to put names to the evaluations they are amplifying, they refuse. The information exists in a protected space where it cannot be verified, cannot be contradicted, and cannot be held accountable if it turns out to be wrong. Meanwhile, analysts who are willing to put their names and reputations on the line have offered very different assessments of Shedeur's game. Chase Daniel has spoken positively about what he sees on film. Other quarterback coaches and evaluators who go on record have highlighted his processing ability, his arm talent, and his potential to thrive in the right system. The gap between anonymous criticism and public, verifiable praise raises obvious questions about whose agenda is being served by the negative narratives, and whether the criticism is rooted in genuine evaluation or something else entirely. There is a question that no one in Cleveland media seems willing to address directly, and it exposes the fundamental contradiction at the heart of all the negative coverage. If Shedeur Sanders is truly the liability that critics claim he is, if his play is so concerning that the franchise should be looking in a completely different direction, why is no one reporting that the Browns are planning to move on from him? The offseason has been filled with speculation about every aspect of the roster. Trade rumors have circulated. Draft possibilities have been analyzed endlessly. Free agent targets have been discussed at length. The media has covered every conceivable storyline related to this franchise. But in all of that coverage, there has been no credible report suggesting that Cleveland is looking to trade Shedeur or release him from the roster. The organization is keeping him. More than that, they are actively investing in building around him. The offensive line has been reconstructed specifically to address the protection problems that plagued last season. Receiver targets are being discussed in draft contexts as weapons to surround the young quarterback. Todd Monken's system is being installed with the clear expectation that Shedeur will be the one running it. If the internal evaluation were as negative as the anonymous sources suggest, why would the franchise be behaving this way? The organizational actions contradict the media narratives, and the people generating those narratives should be required to explain the disconnect. The way Shedeur is handling this offseason reveals something about his character and his understanding of what actually matters at this stage of his career. He is not defending himself in interviews. He is not engaging with critics on social media. He is not creating content designed to respond to the narratives being constructed around him. He is in the gym. He is working. He is preparing for a season where the infrastructure around him will be dramatically different, and the excuses that could have been made last year will no longer apply. The offensive line has been rebuilt. The weapons are being added through the draft. The coaching staff believes in him and has expressed that belief publicly. The system is being designed around his specific strengths. Year 2 is about proving himself in a way that Year 1 never allowed because the circumstances surrounding him were fundamentally broken, and he appears to understand that reality completely. The gym photo is not just a picture. It is a declaration of priorities. While the media debates his future in hypothetical terms, Shedeur is focused on the concrete work that will determine whether those debates become irrelevant. A single image, posted without explanation, after weeks of deliberate silence. That is the message Shedeur Sanders chose to send, while the Cleveland media continues generating content that questions whether he belongs on this roster. The noise will not stop. It never does for players who carry the kind of attention and scrutiny that follows the Sanders name. The criticism will not disappear, because criticism generates engagement and engagement generates revenue for the platforms that amplify it. The anonymous sources will continue feeding stories to reporters who are willing to publish doubt without verification. But none of that changes what is actually happening inside the Browns facility and inside Shedeur's preparation. He is building something. He is preparing for something. And when the results start showing up on the field, when the offensive line holds and the receivers get open, and the system produces the offense it was designed to produce, the people who spent this offseason tearing him down are going to have to confront a very simple question. Were you actually evaluating the player based on evidence? Or were you generating content based on narratives that served a different purpose? Because the difference between those two things is about to become painfully clear. Drop your thoughts in the comments because this conversation is only getting started. Do you think the criticism of Shedeur is fair given everything he was working with last year? Or is it selective framing that ignores the context? And when that gym photo dropped, What message did you take from it? Let me know, because the debate is not slowing down, and the people paying attention are going to remember who said what when the season arrives. If you want to stay locked in on the real story behind the headlines, you know what to do. Subscribe, hit that notification bell, and be ready. Because Shedeur Sanders is not asking anyone for permission to become exactly who his supporters believe he can be. And the proof is coming faster than the doubters are prepared for.